Rick and Morty Season 8 has finally premiered about 18 months after Season 7 ended, the longest wait between seasons since that exhaustive 2-year gap between Seasons 3 and 4. And for me at least, Season 7 felt like a major return to form for Rick and Morty, with some of my favorite episodes in years, particularly their incredibly strong finale, maybe my favorite season finale in the show's history. So I have been very eager to see if Season 8 can pick up where Season 7 left off, and I'm happy to say that I thought this was an excellent season premiere, not only delivering a pretty great episodic Rick and Morty adventure with a fun twist on a sci-fi trope, but also showcasing how comfortable Rick and Morty's new voice actors have become after settling into the roles. And on a character level, this episode goes a really long way to show us that Summer is sort of becoming a bit more like Rick, and that's something I really want to talk about in this video. Overall, it has me really optimistic for the coming season, so let's dive into Season 8's premiere, Summer of All Fears. I don't know about you guys, but as I get older, I'm trying harder and harder to just maintain a healthy lifestyle, but the sheer volume and variety of different kinds of vitamins we're supposed to be taking has always overwhelmed me. But recently, I tried Grunes, today's video sponsor, and I gotta say, it's kind of astounding how easy and convenient they make to get all of your daily vitamins in a convenient small package. Tastes good too. Honestly, I have to stop myself from eating multiple packs of these a day. One single package of Grunes contains 20 plus vitamins for your daily routine, and they benefit so many different aspects of your health, from your gut to your hair and nails to your immunity, even skin clarity. I've already got pretty thick hair, as you can see, but the gut aspect of my health has always been an issue, and since I introduced these, everything's been working great for me, honestly better than ever. All of those daily vitamins are contained in just 8 gummies per package. It's a simple little treat you can eat once a day, and it's so easy. You can get up to 52% off of your order of Grunes if you click the link in the description of my video, and you can start enjoying the convenient health benefits of Grunes today. So based on the trailers and some of the little teases for Season 8, I did expect this was going to be something of a Matrix parody. However, I didn't really expect that the whole Matrix thing was just like a table setting for a more unique idea, which I guess I should have expected, because generally Rick and Morty is good at embracing an additional twist or angle on the kinds of sci-fi premises we've seen before. What I love most about this setup is that the episode basically starts at like the climax of the Matrix story. Through pretty quick context clues, you gather that Morty and Summer have been stuck inside a Matrix simulation for many quote-unquote years of the simulation. Obviously, Rick and Morty is no stranger to trapped in a simulation premises. Season 1 had the classic M. Night Shyamalians. They've done a couple episodes featuring the Roy video game simulation, so I guess going in you'd question the approach, like what more could they even do? Well, the answer lies beyond the simulation itself, because the episode isn't as much about Morty and Summer living in the Matrix as it is how their mental development within that Matrix affects their psyche when they leave it. It's a really cool thing to focus on, basically exploring the ramifications of the way Summer grew and learned over the course of her 17 years in the simulation, and the ways Morty's Matrix experiences traumatized him. And the entire trapped in the Matrix idea was Rick's punishment because they borrowed his phone charger and didn't give it back.
My hands! A child's hands!
You built a Matrix to punish them for a phone charger?
The entire world is built around entire societies fighting over lent charging cables, with charged phones basically being the commodity they go to war over. This is actually, to me, maybe one of the most vindictive things Rick has ever done to Morty and Summer. Not that there aren't other major examples. However, in this one, obviously Rick wants to mind blow Morty and Summer and remove those memories so that they don't have those nearly 20 years of life experiences jammed into their child brains. And this makes sense practically, but it also means that Rick's entire plan was just to remove the memories of the punishment itself. He tortured them in a way that would actually have no lasting effect or make them change their behaviors. Just force them through this insanely complicated, war-torn, charger-driven life. Kind of fucked up. I thought Rick was growing a little more, but I really appreciated that the episode explored 2 different aspects of this kind of condensed lived experience being injected into Morty and Summer. Summer basically rose the ranks of the Matrix society and became like the CEO/president, finding a means to end the charging deficit and basically overpower the Matrix so that they could escape. So obviously this required years of education and gained experience. There are so many fun details in just this opening sequence here. In Summer's office, we see a few magazines that she dons the cover of: The New Charger, Charging Stone, and Better Homes and Chargers, parodies of The New Yorker, Rolling Stone, and Better Homes and Gardens. But maybe my favorite design detail here is this little plug bottle topper for her liquor bottle. I think my biggest takeaway from Summer's rise rise to power is that the show is really continuing to explore the ways that Summer is actually a lot like Rick. Maybe more so Rick's heir than anyone else in the family. Honestly, during this opening part, she even kind of looks like Rick. I don't think I ever really noticed that she so clearly seems to take after him physically. We've seen in a handful of episodes now that Summer excels in leadership roles. The episode that dove into this in a really interesting way was Night Family, when the sort of subservient, partitioned night versions of the Smiths were accomplishing tasks at night that the family didn't want to waste their days doing. And when the Night Family eventually had enough and rebelled, the one who actually led the night versions of the family was Summer, not Rick. I like that this was initially explored through these parallel versions of the characters in an almost subconscious way. It kind of felt like it opened the doors for Summer in terms of realizing what she was capable of. As the show has gone on, Morty has obviously become more capable himself, but he's still got a bit of a sentimental streak, and I think this made the exploration of trauma through his Matrix journey really interesting. He was basically forced to fight in the Charger Wars and formed all of these relationships with his squad mates, only to have to come to terms with the fact that A, none of them were real, and B, he himself could not die. Morty's entire story here is about the impact of these lived experiences, despite the fact that they weren't real. But I love that question on a philosophical, existential level. Like, does it matter if those weren't actual living souls if Morty's connection to them was real to him? If his emotional attachment to them triggers the exact same feelings and traumas and fears that a real relationship does, doesn't that effectively make them real? They did a great job showcasing the PTSD flashbacks as emotional montages, giving us better insight into Morty's trauma, not to mention the sheer volume of life experience he got while in this Matrix simulation. He almost immediately gets arrested, Summer abandons him, he goes to prison, does hard time, and eventually makes parole, but still struggles to find a job because of this. Actually, the details here are just further reinforcing Rick's stupid phone charger lesson. He's arrested for stealing some kind of phone charger, and we see that when they reject him from the job he applies for, it's because the application is marked that Morty has been convicted of stealing a phone charger. Literally all of the questions are about taking phone chargers. He eventually gets a job as a firefighter, finds a community, and later enlists in the war with his fellow firemen. But during the war, he basically dies over and over again, and is forced to watch all of his friends die around him. It's a good narrative device that unveils more and more about their time spent in the Matrix world. It slowly unravels and reveals that mystery while also showcasing the sources of Morty's trauma, the reason he was a lone wolf off the grid during the end of his life in the simulation. It's funny, I'm talking so much about the emotional tolls of this episode, which they do a great job exploring, but it also has absolutely insane jokes like this one.
We got him. Osama bin Chargin is dead.
That one absolutely killed me. Summer's story post-Matrix is spent exploring the unusual changed dynamic between her and her mother due to those 17 additional years of experience, and I really enjoyed the way this escalated. Initially, Beth was just enjoying the novelty of being able to speak to her daughter like a peer, before realizing that while her time as a tech CEO gave her a real self-assured confidence, it also turned her into kind of an insufferable asshole.
It's called disruption. If you don't take risks, you don't grow.
For me, this is pretty bold.
I guess everyone has to start somewhere.
Which, hate to bring it up again, this is very Rick-like. The moment Summer gets a bit of an inflated ego, we see her start to use it in a condescending way. I honestly feel like the show is starting to explore that possibility pretty explicitly, that Summer may have the potential to embrace a very Rick-like existence. And given that both she and Rick found different ways to overpower and corrupt the Matrix simulation within this episode, it does feel like an explicit choice. Though I did particularly love Rick's decision to build a Matrix within the Matrix. But Summer and Beth's story does actually end up finding a pretty heartfelt place to end. Maybe one of my favorite Summer and Beth stories they've ever done. Despite Summer's excess of life experience beyond Beth's own, Beth is able to get through to her with some genuinely great advice.
Honey, you shouldn't have to be a lost middle-aged woman yet. Take it from me, it sucks.
Honestly, on a character level, this episode is doing a lot, mostly with Summer. While it explores her Rick-like tendencies and gives her a good conflict and resolution with her mom, it also explores aspects of both of these stories within the Morty reveal. Summer admits that upon taking control of the Matrix society, the only way for her to get enough lithium to overpower the Matrix was by starting a war. The entire inciting incident was orchestrated by Summer. Morty's entire motivation for enlisting, leading to the war that killed all of his friends and forced him to face 1,000 traumatic deaths. And that Summer knew he couldn't die, and that he would be the secret weapon they needed to win the war, no matter what Morty endured. And this is for sure the action Summer took took within the episode that feels the most Rick-like, subjecting somebody she cares about to an insane and cruel existence because the ends justified the means in her mind, because it freed them from their prison. It's pretty dark. It really showcases Summer's potential as well as the lengths she's willing to go when she's pushed. But the end of the episode, at the very least, gives us a bit of a reassurance that if this is her destined path, it's going to be delayed a little bit longer. Even if her smarter self tried to fast track it, she's still a teenager.
Send a text.
Yo, Trisha, what are we huffing tonight?
Damn, honestly, after writing about this more, the more I like the episode. A really, really strong season premiere from a first-time Rick and Morty writer, Jess Lacker. Excited to see more from her and from the rest of the season as well. Ian Cardoni and Harry Belden have really come into their own in the title voice roles as well. I'm fully at a point where I entirely forgot they've even been recast. I think their first few episodes were a tall order performance-wise because they basically had to dub over existing Justin Roiland performances. But in the back half of season 7 and now in season 8, they're able to give performances that are entirely their own, and I think they've really just melted into the roles. I still get comments from people who don't even realize they've been recast, which is pretty impressive. This season appears to have some really exciting stuff coming up. Looks like some serious space Beth action. We're even getting a season 1 follow-up episode with Morty's son, Morty Jr. from Raising Gazorpazorp, but I'm particularly excited by the prospect of seeing a rebuilt, reformed Citadel of Ricks, as teased in the trailers and on social media. I have a really good feeling about the potential this year. It feels like the show has found a bit of a new stride. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be covering every single episode. I think, like last year, I'm going to play it by ear and decide on a week-by-week basis. If the episode really speaks to me or has enough that excites me, I'm going to cover it. And if the teases are any indicator, I think there's a good chance I do a handful of videos this year. But I also want to know what you thought of the season 8 premiere, Summer of All Fears. Are you excited for what the season has to offer? Are you kind of tired of the show at this point? Regardless, they were recently renewed through season 12, so we've got at least a few more years of Rick and Morty. Let me know below in the comments how you felt, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.
I stay mellow watching Johnny two cellos. He talks cartoons, he's a really cool fellow. He keeps you posted on adult cartoons. If that's what you're into, then grab a spoon and a very big bowl of your favorite cereal. Feels like Saturday morning cartoon material. Johnny two cellos, watch him on YouTube. Now enjoy this groove and bust a move.